Well, the 2025 NASCAR season is almost here, and I'm not happy. This is probably the least excited I've ever been about a season, especially after the recent announcement of, hey, you know those pesky playoffs that everyone hated, and the fact that Logano won the title by doing absolutely nothing all season until the last 5 races? Yeah, we're changing absolutely nothing about it. You sure know how to listen to the fans, Phelps. But I have a feeling you guys didn't come here to watch Playoff Bad video number 547 today, so we might as well go ahead and talk about something else. Predictions for the 2025 season! But I am going to make a couple changes compared to the other prediction videos I made in the past. To start things off, I'm just going to be doing the basic predictions and no bonus points, because I feel like that's just going to make everything way too complex. But I will be adding 2 extra features to this video. For one, I'm increasing the amount of predictions I'm going to have from 20 to 25. After all, it's 2025. Makes sense. And 2, I'm actually going to give an explanation to some of my predictions as well. That way I can actually explain myself before I get hung, drawn, and quartered for saying Kyle Busch is going winless again this year. Lastly, these are predictions, these are not facts, so just because I say something that's not 100% true, don't get mad at me in the comments. Alright, let's go ahead and get this over with. Although NASCAR decided to make the galaxy brain decision to not change a single thing about the playoffs for this season, there has been some rumors speculating that they are going to make some tweaks about it. And I feel like sometime within this year, they are going to announce their playoff fix. Now, why do I say fix in quotations? Well, it's not actually going to fix the problem. And I think I know exactly what they plan on doing. The regular season champion is automatically locked into the Final Four. I would go on an explanation explaining why this is a bad idea and how they would actually make a lot of the inconsistency problems even worse. But I don't want this being a 90-minute video, so let's keep moving on. Ty Gibbs and Ryan Preece both win their first races in 2025. I mean, it makes plenty of sense. Ty Gibbs has been getting way more consistent in the 54 car, and I feel like this year might be the year he finally breaks through. And we've seen Preece in the past do pretty good in some better equipment, and I feel like now that he's going to be in some Roush equipment, now that they're getting way better, I feel like Preece might get that win as well. Those I have the most confident about getting their first win, along with Carson Hocevar and Noah Gragson being maybes. But I feel like if either of those 2 win, it would probably be on a super speedway. I mean, I just have a gut feeling that this is probably going to happen. I mean, he won the Summer Daytona race in 2023, and especially after missing the playoffs in 2024, I feel like he's going to be charging right out of the gates in 2025 to score a Daytona 500 win. Who knows, maybe even Keselowski might even help him win the race. He did that same thing to Busch when he won the summer race. I might be one of the biggest supporters of the clash at Bowman Gray there is. It may or may not be the fact that I predicted it a couple years ago, but nonetheless, I am excited. While I am a little skeptic on how the race is going to end up turning out, especially with the short track package really sucking over the past couple years, despite the fact we're probably going to be seeing some mixed feedback, I feel like it'll overall be a success. And as for the winner, I'm putting my money on Ryan Blaney. Hendrick had a pretty hit-or-miss season in 2024. They came right out the gates with a bunch of great wins with Byron and Larson. Chase Elliott snapped his winless streak at Texas. Larson won the Brickyard 400. And hey, even Bowman won a race. That was pretty cool. But I feel like 2025 will be a little bit different. I'm predicting that they're going to struggle in the first half of the season. Larson might snag a win or 2, but I feel like everybody else is going to be struggling to take off. But I feel like they'll get some traction going and finally get back in victory lane once the summer months come along. I'm predicting Eric Jones finally returns to victory lane in 2025. Although it's most likely going to be happening in a super speedway, I feel like it'll finally be great seeing that team finally come back to victory lane. Although Legacy MC might be the punching bag of NASCAR Twitter, it would put a smile on my face to finally see that team score a W. If there's one thing I'm the most excited about in 2025, is NASCAR's new broadcasting opportunities. Along with NBC and that circus dumpster fire that you call Fox, we also have TNT and NASCAR on Prime. This might be one of the biggest gambles that we've had in recent memory, probably standing toe-to-toe with the street race. But hey, I feel like NASCAR finally stepping into the streaming services might actually benefit them significantly and finally get NASCAR back into the public eye, even for a little bit. Remember what I said at the beginning of the video saying that I'd probably be executed for saying Kyle Busch is going winless again this year? Yeah, that wasn't a joke. I'm predicting that this is going to happen. It's more than obvious that Kyle Busch is at the tail end of his career, and RCR being on the struggle bus with square wheels and no brakes for the past year isn't going to help. Now, don't get me wrong. I hope that this one's wrong. I hope Kyle Busch goes back to victory lane. I want to see it happen. But judging by patterns and RCR's performance in general and how the fact they can't win a race without bulldozing 2 drivers to win, I feel like he's going to be going winless again this year. If we learned anything from the Spring Atlanta race in 2024, we learned that Daniel Suarez is nowhere near out for the count. And that win wasn't a fluke either. He was very good at Atlanta in 2023, and it was almost looking like he was going to win the 2022 Coke 600. And with that, I feel like this year's finally going to be the year that Daniel Suarez breaks out and scores multiple wins. I might even go on a limb and say he's going to win the inaugural race in Mexico. I feel like Trackhouse in general is going to be doing really good in 2025. I feel like Chastain might be getting out of his slump this year, and SVG is definitely going to be a threat on the road courses. I feel like Suarez is going to be the torchbearer for the team this season. Speaking of Mexico, this is going to be the highest rated race of the season. I mean, this is practically a layup. Not only will NASCAR have the American audience like usual, they will also have the Mexican audience. I really hope that this race is a huge success, because now maybe NASCAR might be able to expand more internationally. But like on this side of the Prime Meridian, maybe South America and Canada, but not in Europe. That would be just way too much logistically. In case you weren't aware, NASCAR's going to be bringing back their option tire, which is like the Goodyear tires with the red letters on them, for the Spring Phoenix race. And I have a gut feeling that this isn't going to end well. I mean, there's already a lot of tire failures at Phoenix already, and I feel like giving a softer tire might not be a good thing. So expect a lot of tire failures in this race. And as much as I hate to say this, I feel like NASCAR might use this as an excuse to never use the optional tires again, and tire wear becomes obsolete. This sport is a freaking circus sometimes. Once the summer months begin, I feel like 2311 will definitely turn on the boosters and dominate the summer stretch. I mean, this is usually the time where Tyler Reddick is a menace in the Cup Series. And while I've been saying this for 4 years, I'm hoping this year will finally be the year that Bubba breaks out. I mean, we saw some glimpses of him in 2024, and I feel like all he needs now is just some better luck and he'll finally be back in victory lane again. Please, Bubba, do something this year! I swear, guys, words cannot describe how much it infuriates me to think that Logano has the same amount of championships as Tony Stewart. But I feel like this year he will finally get his comeuppance and miss the playoffs. Even by a little bit. He's probably going to finish like 17th or something. But talk about a way to expose yourself. He's just been so mediocre. I mean, the only reason he even made the playoffs in the first race was because his teammate spun out and we just had a 5 overtime crap show in Nashville. But unlike last year, Lady Luck will not be on his side this year. Similar to how in the NFL, America wins when the 49ers lose, NASCAR wins when Logano loses. In life, there are 3 things guaranteed: death, taxes, and an overtime controversy in NASCAR. Actually, 4 things, because rain too, I guess. I wanted to pulverize my TV after watching the Xfinity Roval race. Parker Klingerman had the win. 5 feet away from the finish line, NASCAR's like, up, caution, too bad, you suck. And I feel like we're going to be seeing that again in 2025. And just like last year, it's going to affect another first-time winner. It'll probably not be in the Cup, but in the Xfinity and Truck Series, maybe, considering that the officiating in those series are way more messed up. The fact that Race Control looked at this and said DiBenedetto won this race is insane. We've been calling a lot of drivers the next Jeff Gordon for the past several decades, and a lot of them didn't really live up to the hype. But I feel like this time, Connor Zilich might be the real deal. I mean, the dude won in his Xfinity debut. What more can you say about him? And he's running for Junior Motorsports next year. This guy is going to be a force to be reckoned with until the round of 8. Because as we all know, one mistake in the playoffs completely derails your season. I have a feeling that Zilich is definitely going to have this happen to him. It's going to be Kevin Harvick 2020 all over again. But he still probably will win the most races in the Xfinity Series. And even though he's not going to make the Final 4, he's definitely going to be on the map this season. Jumping off the track again, we gotta talk about another big thing that's happening in 2025. NASCAR is getting a brand new video game, and it's a major ordeal considering it's by the same people that made iRacing, which is the same people that made NR 2003 a long time ago. This is something that I'm super excited about, but I do have my doubts. I was excited about NASCAR 2011 the game. I was excited about NASCAR Heat Evolution. I was insanely skeptic about NASCAR 21 Ignition, and well, you know, that was a disaster as well. My point being, my hopes have been dashed with NASCAR games in the past. And I feel like the new NASCAR 25 game might not be so good right out of the gate. I mean, that's not a knock on the creators. That's pretty much routine for modern games these days. Release it now, fix the bugs later. But unlike the other games, I feel like iRacing will definitely get the ball rolling faster and way better. It might be a rough takeoff, but I definitely feel like this game is going to be worth playing once the first month ends. While it hasn't been confirmed yet, there's been a lot of writing on the wall saying that this is going to be the last year we're going to be seeing the Chicago street race. And it's a darn shame, because it never really got the chance to truly show what it's capable of. Because it always downpours at these freaking things. I hate it. There was a 16% chance. 16! But this year I feel like the rain will finally hold back and let NASCAR actually cook. And while the 2023 and 2024 street races were very fun watches, I feel like 2025 is going to be the best of them all. And I'm going to take a shot in the dark and say that Bubba Wallace finally snaps his winless streak at this race. I mean, he was pretty solid last year, and if he didn't get spun out early, he probably would have finished in the top 5. But anyways, I really hope that this race has some great turnout, because that means we might actually have a chance at getting Chicagoland back on the schedule. Come on, guys, prove to NASCAR that Chicago is a market worth going to. And speaking of markets worth going to, ever since North Wilkesboro finally came back to NASCAR, Rockingham is probably the biggest track I want to see back in NASCAR for all 3 series. And I kinda got that wish answered this year, with Rockingham returning to the Xfinity and Truck Series. I mean, it ain't much, but it's an honest start. I mean, the track got to see some huge turnout in testing, so I have a feeling that this race is gonna be a major hit. Mexico is probably going to be the biggest race this season for the Cup Series, but I feel like Rockingham might actually rival them for the Xfinity and Truck Series. And I'm hoping that if this is a success, we might see the Cup Series return here next season. All you gotta do at that point is move it to race 2 and it'll be perfect. Have you ever wanted to feel depressed? Well, here you go. Why did we need to do this, NASCAR? California was back on the rise again. The racing was finally good. And that's when you want to make a change? You want to turn it into a short track at the time when the short track package sucks? Well, ever since NASCAR left the track in 2023, the whole project's been kinda dormant. The small little patch of land it still has just been sitting there gathering dust. And I have a really bad feeling that in 2025, NASCAR just says, screw it, we're done, and completely abandons the project. And that just sucks. Come on, why do we gotta get rid of this? And we lost Irwindale too! I hate this Now, I've already talked about the other RFK drivers, Chris Buescher and Ryan Preece, scoring wins this year, but Brad Keselowski I feel like is definitely going to be another driver to keep an eye on. He won at Darlington, he almost won the Brickyard 400. I feel like Keselowski might actually have a shot at winning multiple races this year. If I had to pick a precise number, it's probably going to be 3. 2 in the regular season and 1 in the playoffs. If I had to be even more precise, it would probably be the Homestead Miami race, Spring Talladega, and Fall Kansas. Now let's turn our attention to another Ford team. A team kind of rebuilding after a disastrous past couple of seasons. The Haas Factory team. They're bringing back Cole Custer, and after having a lot more success in the Xfinity Series, I feel like Custer might actually be able to finally return to victory lane in the Cup Series in 2025. But I feel like after that win, they're just not going to do anything for the rest of the season. He'll be kind of a mid-pack driver, and he'll be a first-round exit. But hey, I mean, something's better than nothing, I guess. Denny Hamlin is a modern Dale Earnhardt. But despite Hamlin being very good in the early to mid parts of the season, by the time the playoffs comes, he just completely drops. And every single his year always ends at the round of 8 like normal. Except 2025. I actually predict he scores a clutch victory at Martinsville. And finally locking himself into that Final 4. But then at Phoenix, that's when he eats it and starts struggling, and he finishes 4th in the points. Hey man, maybe 2026 will finally be your year. Or he'll just finish in a round of 8 again like usual, but who knows. Man, I freaking just hate Sheldon Creed's luck. He's always there at the end of the race, and every single time he finishes second. And I feel like that pattern's going to return in 2025. With over 10 second place finishes. One of which I predict is going to be at the opener at Daytona. But I feel like this will have a silver lining. He will by far be the most consistent and actually make the Final Four with that consistency. I just really hope he doesn't pull a Hendrick and just win the last race and then win the championship, because that would be incredibly stupid. But like 3rd or 2nd in points, I feel like he definitely could earn it. But like usual, he's going to have to wait another year for that first win. But he definitely will be way more consistent. Died 2007, born 2025, welcome back Hendrick Motorsports. The entire idea of this team is insanely stupid. The fact that they shoot away one of their biggest sponsors in the form of Kroger to give them a fresh start completely reeks of this team is absolutely shutting down by the end of the year. I mean, they got Ricky Stenhouse and he can just magically win random super speedway races out of nowhere. But if you're gonna make the bonehead decision of shooing away one of the biggest sponsors in the sport, yeah, you're pretty much digging your own grave. Alright, time to do all 3 champions together. If I get one of these right, I'll get a 1/3 of a point, and 2 of them right, I get 2/3. But let's go ahead and get over it. For trucks, I'm going with Corey Heim. It makes plenty of sense. He's a big driver in the truck series, and I'm surprised he hasn't won a championship yet. He should have won it in 23, but of course, Hocevar didn't let that happen. Xfinity, I'm going with a little bit of a wild card here and saying Jesse Love. I know it's kind of a random one, and it's only his sophomore year, but hey, he's been doing pretty good, and I even got to see his first win at Talladega, so that was pretty nice. And lastly, for the Cup Series champion, my prediction is Christopher Bell. I mean, he's been insanely consistent, and hey, he's very good at Phoenix, so I feel like this year might be the one. And that's it for my predictions for 2025. I'm hoping I get at least 2 of them right. Anyways, can't wait to start this season off hyped and then end it depressed watching Logano win his 4th championship. So yeah, thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you all next time, I guess. Goodbye.